Now, growing up in Sierra Leone during the brutal civil war left many people with indelible memories. And while not everyone is gifted in depicting their thoughts through art, Richmond Garrick is especially gifted in fine art. He paints on canvas to bring awareness of his homeland to a wider audience. He also teaches fine art, graphic design, and multimedia at Williamstown High School as well as DeVry University in New Jersey. And Richmond Garrick joins me in the studio to tell us more about his work. Professor Garrick, welcome to Africa 54.
It's indeed a wonderful pleasure for me to be here with you, Esther.
You know, I always wonder what comes to mind when somebody starts drawing and depicting images that really tell the story. What happened to you here?
You know, well, actually, I grew up in Sierra Leone, like you mentioned earlier, and I discovered my talent while I was there, but my father detested the idea for me to be an artist, you know, but I was stubborn, and I continued to draw and paint. And I exhibited my work in Sierra Leone before actually leaving, and I left Sierra Leone at the brink of the Civil War.
What do you remember drawing first? What came to mind and what really, you know, inspired you? What drove you to get to the pen and just draw something?
It was funny. I wasn't even thinking about becoming an artist when I was young, but I remember around 9, 10 years old, I was looking at a book. It was really a music book with pictures of different composers. I remember Beethoven, Mozart, and I picked up colored pencil and just started drawing, you know, and since that day, I never stopped drawing.
I imagine you being very young, going to school and teachers looking at your work and saying, wow, you can do something. Did that give you motivation to say, hey, this is my element, I'm going to be doing this for a lifetime?
Yes, definitely. Definitely it gave me the motivation, you know, until I got to high school. But apparently, because of the lack of encouragement for the arts, especially in Sierra Leone, which I'm hoping that we would have support and that the art will be given the credence that it deserves. When I got to high school, we didn't have a teacher for art, you know, so it was very difficult. But then a couple of us got together and we were helping each other, you know, with the same interest in art, and we just continued to draw and paint. And then we took the national exam in art.
Let's come back to the U.S. now, because in the early 1990s, you came to the U.S. and voila, this is another world altogether. You get the opportunity, you get all the, you know, people supporting you. Tell us where your artwork took you when you got to the United States.
Well, actually, when I came to the United States, I'd always wanted to have a degree in art, because in Sierra Leone, our universities didn't have a degree program for the arts. So when I came, I decided to go back to school and got my associate degree in art and advertising design, then my bachelor's from Montclair State University in fine art and graphic design, then master's at Rutgers, Mason Gross. So after that, I embarked on exhibiting my work at galleries and museums, which have really been lucky, and my work has actually got rave reviews, especially because it's been dealing with issues relating to the civil war in Sierra Leone.
And not only have you done the artwork about Sierra Leone, but you've also depicted some of the powerful images and most powerful people in the world, like Martin Luther King, former president of the United States, Barack Obama. How did that go?
Well, I work predominantly in oils and ballpoint pen. So when my kids were young, they came home with an assignment on the biography of African Americans, and I started reading about these stories about Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and I was really shocked, you know, because I didn't know much about African American history, you know, and I realized that if it wasn't for their struggle, I wouldn't be here. Then I started doing these ballpoint pen drawings, you know, and I just continued as in gratification to the struggle. But fortunately, when I did Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, a colleague of mine suggested that I should send it to the White House. And then I got a response from him, a thank you card, which I'm hoping that it would be in his presidential library.
Well, Professor, you've really gone places. What's next? And I know you're teaching all this fine art to students and also at the university. What's next for you?
What I'm looking at, especially for Sierra Leone, I would like to see how much I can influence the arts in Sierra Leone and elevate the consciousness for the arts, because I think it deserves the credence, you understand, and more attention should be paid to the arts. I know we have a museum, but if you have to compare the kind of museum that we have in Sierra Leone relative to a national museum in Nigeria or Ghana, I think there's more that should be done.
And can be extended to the whole of the African continent.
Oh, certainly.
Professor,
certainly.
Thank you so much for your work and your insight into this. Richmond Garrick teaches fine art, graphic design, and multimedia in Williamstown High School and DeVry University in New Jersey.